Welcome back to part 2 of the Mullet Mustang's unplanned episode, supported by Turn 14 Distribution. It's time for us to wrap up this timing system overhaul. Hopefully we don't have any more surprises. Upon further inspection, we noticed that a lot of the plastic timing chain guide that failed is missing, and there's really only one place it can go: into the oil pan. We fished around in there a bit and found a few pieces, so we know there's plastic in the pan, which is not a good thing. When this broke, it also damaged the oil pump, just cosmetically scratched the metal down here. But we did some research and found that these oil pumps are actually pretty prone to failure. So we went ahead and ordered the Ford Racing one, which is based on the GT500 oil pump. So that'll be a nice upgrade for us. And since we've got to drop the oil pan off to clean everything up, we figured time for an upgrade. So we called our friends at Canton Racing. They sent us their street and strip pan. More capacity, it's baffled. So we're going to be completely plastic debris free when it's all said and done. Also going to be a lot of work though. We've got to use an engine hoist basically to lift the engine a bit to get the pan out. We had to take the chains and all the timing stuff off to get to that point. So we've got a bunch of work to do, but in the end we'll end up with we hope, a bulletproof engine that we can go and beat on.
I've already gone ahead and removed the oil pump, which resides here. It was a simple 3 bolts, and then it slides right off. And now it's going to be time to remove the pan. We've gone ahead and hooked up our engine hoist to the engine here, and we weren't 100% sure as to exactly where to hook the chains up. Some people hook it up to the actual block itself with one of these bolts, but I'm a little skeptical. That's I think a
Little
10 mil.
Yeah, it looks kind of sketchy.
Yeah, so it's just too small for us. I'm not going to take that chance. So we decided to wrap it around the alternator housing bracket, which should hold. And worst case, if this breaks, we can just replace the both thermostat housings rather than having to replace an engine block. So with that said, we are now going to remove the bolts that hold the engine mounts onto the engine, and they're actually, if you can have a look down here, they're actually quite easy to access. So we're going to put the gun on it, have our million wobble extensions here, and blast it off. Voila!
Time to raise this lump a bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is coming
I'm
up.
not sure how much. Hopefully there's no hard lines that are going to get bent here. We're not going crazy high.
We only need to come up a few inches, we think, to get pan clearance. From the K
I've already gone ahead and loosened the pan. So it seems like it's good to go, but I think we got to go.
Crawl under and see.
Yeah, I think we're going to go a little bit higher. Okay, so this thing is pretty much still doesn't want to clear here because we've raised the engine as far as it can go, but the transmission is the roadblock. So I'm just going to yank this and it'll probably pop out, but I don't know if we're going to be able to put it back in. So all right,
Aggressive.
there we go. Well, that's what it takes. And I had to remove the pickup as well.
Well, looky here. We have plastic chain guide jammed right into the pickup there.
Good thing we decided to take this apart, right?
And in the sump, we also have lots of guide just chilling out in there.
Good times, huh?
Look at that mess. Here's our big sexy Canton Racing oil pan. And as you can see, it has serious baffles around the pickup area. There's actually a trap door design in there, which allows oil to flow to the pickup but not away from the pickup. So that'll prevent any kind of oil starvation issues when we're pulling 2 Gs in the corner, right, PT?
Yeah, that's it.
2 Gs, that could happen someday. This thing also adds a quart of oil capacity, and more oil is more better. Just helps with cooling basically, right? You've got more volume to absorb that heat. Should also keep the oil a bit cleaner.
The new Ford Racing oil pump is installed. And now we're on to the difficult task of putting the oil pan on. And so far, it's not looking good because we can't seem to get the new Canton pan in place because of clearance issues. We're kind of at quite the impasse here. The bell housing for the transmission will not clear our Canton oil pan. I've pretty much tried everything and it still won't clear. We've got about an inch of oil pan. So sadly, let me pull this thing out here. Sadly, it looks like we're gonna have to run the stock one because we just don't have the time to start trying to drop the whole lower cross member here and raise the engine even more. We'll get this bad boy installed when we end up pulling this engine.
We just bolted in the oil pump pickup tube. Pete's just tighten them down to spec, of course. His hand strength is at the correct
Good and tight.
the correct torque spec.
The oil pan is in, our gasket is in, so now it's time to bolt it up.
We having fun yet, Pete?
Let me tell you, this is one of the worst jobs I've done in a while. It is so cramped here. Obviously this oil pan was meant not to come off with the engine in the car. So we've struggled here, I've struggled. I've got wrenches almost taking my head out. If you're gonna do this job, be prepared to curse, because to get the pan out was a pain in the ass. To put it back in, the clearance on the bell housing is just so tight. There's a lot of fighting with it. I think if I had to do this again, I'd do it on a hoist, and I would drop the lower cross member here.
Oh, you mean the car on a lift?
Yeah.
So get the car up in the air, drop the K member, so that you've got full access to the sump. Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you see the struggle here right now?
Yeah, you got no room.
I'm trying to...
This is why we need a proper shop with an actual lift.
I know, it's coming. We gotta make things happen. I can't continue to do this. Like I can't turn here. My hands are cramping up. I'm dying. I'm dying a slow death, guys.
Well, our Patreon helpers are getting us a little bit closer to getting a decent shop space, so thanks for that, guys. In the meantime, enjoy Pete's suffering. I am.
Oh, man. So after that whole fiasco with the oil pan, we've put the timing back together now. It's set, and we're ready to put the front cover on. But before we do that, you've got to put some RTV silicone in the 4 spots where the heads mate to the cylinder block and the oil pan to the block. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Now I'll just make sure I get a healthy amount down in the corners here. So if it's going to leak anywhere, it's going to be the oil pan. We've been at this way too long, and we almost forgot to put the cam tooth sprocket back on. So
that's the crank tooth, not the
crank tooth. See, I told you, I'm dying here. Heat exhaustion is setting in.
Well, now that we think we've got it more or less right, let's put this cover on, PT.
Yeah. There's no going back now.
That's right, man.
So they say you're supposed to go from the bottom. You're supposed to get the bottom in first, and then get the top will slide itself in.
Are we done yet?
Far from it.
I'm tired. I want to go home.
Well, you're not going anywhere. We have to tighten all the front cover bolts to 15 foot-pounds.
20 Newton meters for our friends in Australia.
20 Newton meters. And after that's done, you got to give it the old 60 degrees again here.
Oh yes, the 60 degree, Pete's favorite.
I'm not about it.
Okay, do that a bunch more times and we'll be done.
There's no way I'm going 60 degrees on this. Not a chance. I'm going to strip them. I can feel it.
Pete's just a 45 kind of guy.
Yeah.
Cam sensors, go in your hole.
Oh, and here's a pro tip. If you removed your crank sensor here.
Down there, yeah.
Yeah, this guy here, you're not going to get it back in with the cover on and the compressor in place. Don't ask us how we know.
These are your two water pump options. Option number one should go in the garbage. This is the factory water pump. As you can see, it's got fairly small blades on it. Apparently it's not a very happy puppy when you start to modify the motor. Things get too hot. This is our Edelbrock pump. As you can see, it's got much bigger blades on it. It's going to move a lot more water, keep things cooler. We like cooler. We like making more power. Let's bolt this on, Peter. I'm excited.
Let's get it done.
Putting a performance part on our Mustang.
Yes,
feels like
finally.
a first. Something, anything. I'm going to take it and run with it. Actually, I'm going to bolt this up, Peter. You just get out of my way. That's how fired up I am. Look at this. It's got an O-ring on here. I don't have to do any work. The bolt holes are spaced in a way where there's only one way it can go on. I'm looking at it. I'm visualizing it. I think I might even have it sort of maybe. Not right? No, that's not right.
No, that's not right.
Where's the two? Oh, the skinny guys go up there. There we go. Yes. Yes.
Crank pulley time. I'm pretty confident I'm not going to be able to wiggle it on there, so just going to do a little tappa. I've hammered the pulley on deep enough so that I can get the bolt on, and now I'm going to do this and slide it in.
So Ford, in their wisdom, has the most convoluted torque sequence ever for a crank pulley bolt. I'm used to Honda's like torque it to 130 foot-pounds, but no, Ford's got to do it in 4 stages. Stage 1 is torque it to 66 foot-pound, then loosen it 360 degrees, then torque it another 35 foot-pounds, then tighten it another 60 degrees. Confusing and weird, but we're going to try it anyway. So,
I don't know if we are, because I don't know how we're going to
hold the pulley?
hold the pulley here, you see?
Well, I'll hold the pulley, so you guys can just pretend I'm videotaping this when I'm actually holding the pulley.
We've got our brand new Continental belt right here, and I've already kind of snaked it around. I'm installing it actually before we go tightening any of the water pump pulley bolts, because it's going to make my life much easier than trying to hold the actual pulley itself. So let's see if I can get this belt on now here with ease. All right. No, it's off the seat. What I wanted to do, you never want to actually be pulling the ribbed belt over the ribbed pulleys. Yeah, you want to be able to do it like that over the water pump, and look at that. Bam, we're on. We're torquing this to 18 foot-pounds, and as you can see, with the belt on, life is easy. Here we go. Now on to the spark plugs. We've got a Champion one-piece spark plug this time around.
Double platinum.
That means they're not going to break on us, right, TP?
That's the story the internet tells me. They're one of the only replacement plugs available for this motor. That is a one-piece design that guys seem to have good results with. So we figured, why not try these rather than running the OE Motorcraft plugs that are known to shear and deter.
Yeah, and take another gamble on it.
Yeah.
You'll also notice I got the anti-seize going.
Yep, lots of anti-seize.
We're cautiously torquing these spark plugs here to 25 foot-pounds, right, DP?
Yep.
There we go. Got some more RTV here, and before I put the valve cover on, there's a recommended spot that Ford says you need to put RTV. It's between the cylinder head and the front cover on the top side and the bottom side. And I think that's just to ensure that there's no leakage in case of slight gappage. No leakage on the gappage.
Mind the gap leak, PT. Mind the gap leak. Pete's just buttoning up over on this side.
Done. Now we can put the engine harness back on here and plug our injectors in, as well as all our other sensors here.
Once we're done with that, it's time to plop the radiator in this thing and fire her up.
Yeah, buddy, we're getting close. We're almost there.
Finally, time to put the cooling system back in the car, and instead of reinstalling our original skanky old 250,000 kilometer radiator, 1 inch thick, we're ditching this little boy for this big bad boy over here. It's Mishimoto's high performance all aluminum rad. It's 2 inches thick, and it's a 3 core, so it's got more capacity, TIG welded end tanks. It's got all the factory mounting points on it, front and back, so it's a direct fit into any 2005 to 2014 Mustang, V6, V8, or otherwise. So yeah, it should just drop right in there, and then Pete will have the fun job of bolting up the condenser to this thing, because
yeah,
I'm not getting under the car at this point.
That's super fun.
He's dirty, I'm clean. I guess I should also mention this thing comes with a lifetime warranty.
Yeah, you gotta love Mishimoto for that.
This isn't fitting as easy as I thought it would, because there's
I
just
told
wiring
ya.
harness stuff everywhere. There's
You thought
lines
you
for the
just jam
AC
this
unit.
in,
I thought I'd
but
just plop it in there, but
no, my friend.
all right, this is
An
gonna be,
upgraded radiator
I'm just gonna
means you gotta
come in
play
from
with
this
it.
side.
There you go.
Oh yeah, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Well, I guess when you add an inch of thickness, you got to expect there to be some clearance issues.
Yeah.
There's a joke in there about someone or something, but I'm gonna leave it alone. It's these bloody air conditioning lines. Can we just pull the AC out of this car, Pete? We don't need AC.
No,
do we?
no, we do. Of
We
course
want
you
AC?
do. Yeah.
You keep yourself looking nice and sweat free.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you just turn the camera off and I'll make it fit.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
After much struggling to bolt up the condenser, we have the rad mounted, fan bolted on. Got to admit those rad brackets are pretty sexy, eh, Pete?
Oh yeah. They're what I call, they've got the Canadian modification to them.
That's right. Canadian show car finish on there.
Yeah.
So, as usual, I have to go.
Indeed you do. So you're not going to be here for the glorious startup of this engine.
No,
And it's going to purr like a kitten.
I hope so.
It's time to put the rad hoses on. And these ones have seen over 250,000 kilometers. So they're junk. And I'm replacing them with Mishimoto rad hoses. These are a 4-ply silicone setup, which allows for much better pressure tolerance and heat resistance. As a bonus, they're going to look pretty damn good too. There's a special tool that you usually need to push these together and unclamp them, but as you can see, I'm just using a set of really big pliers and they do the trick. They're just, yeah, not very efficient, but they'll work for me. There we go. We'll line that up. Let it go. Mishimoto rad hoses are in. All that's left now is to install the intake and the overflow tank. And then I gotta add some fluids and we can start this thing up. Final thing left here is to top it up with oil. I'm using a Valvoline full synthetic high mileage 5W20 because, well, this engine is high mileage to say the least. So I'm gonna get this thing topped up and we can try to start it for the first time. I've already put some coolant into it, which is another thing you wanna do. I'd say cross your fingers for me, but I think we did a pretty good job putting this thing back together. So, without further ado, let's start this up and let's see what happens. All right. That's a good sign. There's no noise. Engine seems to be running well. So that's a wrap on this video and the full timing job on the Mustang. I hope you enjoyed it. This was a lot of work, so be prepared to spend about, in my opinion, 2 days on a job like this. Just depends how deep you're going. If you're just doing the actual timing itself, replacing those parts, it could be a day job. But if you need to get into the oil pan and pull those guides out, this thing's gonna be a pain in the butt. And as always, if you like this video, subscribe to the channel because we've got lots more Mustang content on the way. The space has served its purpose, but the jobs that we're starting to get into here, like this one, you know, you really want to be on a hoist, have the space, also so you can see what you're doing. Like right now, I'm assuming our oil pickup is in the right spot. I mean, it's bolted in, so
Yeah, it's got to be in the right spot.
it's gotta be, but for peace of mind, I always like to, you know,
Yep.
see it with my own 2 eyes.
I hear you.
If anything's wrong with that pickup, we pretty much just wasted all this time doing this because this motor's gonna grenade pretty quickly.
Did. It may grenade anyway based on all the metal we found in the old pickup, but
Yeah,
I guess we'll find out soon enough.
we most certainly will.